Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Exponential Potential. And this month we are talking all about reflections, celebrations, and embracing our holiday season, as well as reflecting on the past year and setting intentions for 2025. And I am joined today with the fabulous, most amazing Gill Moakes. Hi, Gill.
Hi, Jen. Thank you for having me. Actually, thank you for having me back.
Yes, this is the second time Jill's been on the show because we love her so much. And just a little bit about Gill. She is a business coach and has been for the last 8 years.
Mhm.
She is the founder of the Coaching Business Academy. She is the co-founder of Unapologetic Retreats and also the host and creator of Heads Together. So welcome, Gill.
Correct. Thank
Yes.
you, Jen. So good to be here. Thank you.
So today we are diving into, as I said, we're going to really reflect on the power we're going to look at the power of reflections and setting intentions. So
Mm.
we'll dive straight in. So Gill, why is it so important to reflect on the past year and set intentions for 2025?
Mm. Do you know what, Jen? I think this is like one of my favorite topics to talk about because
Mm,
this is something where if you get this right, it will change everything about the way you approach the next year.
mm,
Why is it so important to do both of those things? Two sides of the coin, I guess, reflecting on this year and then setting intention for next year. I think it's because every year in business, things happen. We evolve, we change, our preferences change, the market changes. What worked for us once possibly doesn't work anymore. And perhaps some of the experiments we've tried either worked or didn't work. But if we don't take that time to reflect and really look over what happened this year, it means that we're not intentionally deciding what to take into next year with us. And I think that for me is the big thing. This isn't about beating ourselves up about what we didn't get to this year. This is about looking at what we did do and deciding what worked, what didn't work, and what do I want to intentionally take with me into 2025 in terms of habits and practices and strategies and mindsets, all of those things. So that's why this is so important. It's about being intentional.
yeah, and I think it's also creating that deep awareness because if you
Mm,
don't have awareness, you can't make change, you can't move forward,
absolutely.
you can't create the life you want to create, the business you want to create, or the career you want to create. So,
Mm.
what are have you got some really good, powerful questions that our listeners can ask ourselves so our goals
Mm.
and actions are in alignment with our core values? So that sort of allows us to create a more intentional and fulfilling year.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I emphasize fulfilling deliberately because we can all have these big dreams and the things that we think we should be doing, what we think success should look like. But I think when we align that with our core values, it creates much more fulfillment and meaning for us.
I think you really alluded to it there, Jen. I think part of this, one of the most important parts of this, is really deciding before you even do your reflection or planning or goal setting or anything like that. It is about taking a bit of time to define what success means for you, not anyone else, not other people's expectations, not other people's ambitions, or the things that we're told externally that we should be striving for. You know, if you want your business and your life to be fulfilling, you have to know at your core what gives you fulfillment. Sounds a bit obvious, but you know, I think it is something that we don't always do. We make assumptions. We assume that more is always more, for example, when it comes to revenue. But I always say to people, you know what? You can you can visualize anything you want for your life and your business, and you can absolutely claim that for yourself. Everything is available for you. There are no limits to what you can achieve. But, and this is the really big but that I think some people forget, when you make a choice to claim a big vision, you're making a choice to accept every consequence of creating that vision for yourself. So it could be that you're choosing the hard work that goes into that. You might be choosing long hours. You might be choosing some, short-term lack of time and, because of your big vision that you have. So it isn't that it's not available for you. It's that I believe we have to have intention around what we really want, what success really means to us, and what really makes us feel fulfilled. Um, you
I think
asked
you
me if I
make,
got any powerful
yeah,
questions, and I
yeah.
think, that's a really good point, because I think there's a few things that we can ask ourselves when we're doing this reflection piece on the year. There's some obvious ones like, what worked, what didn't work, what felt good, what felt challenging, and I think those are really insightful and it's really worth spending time on. There's two questions that I think are quite powerful for maybe unearthing some of the more subconscious things. One of the questions is, what do you wish you hadn't started this year? And I think that one is often people are like, okay, something's come up immediately for me for that, and it's obvious to them, but they hadn't necessarily realized how visceral that reaction would be to that question. So what do you wish you hadn't started? And conversely, I think the other really powerful question is, what do you wish you'd made more time for this year? So I think those are probably my two favorite reflection questions in terms of really unearthing the stuff we want to be taking with us into next
Hmm.
year and the stuff we want to be leaving behind.
And I think it takes courage as well, isn't it? If you've started something and you've invested time and effort,
Oh,
energy, and
yeah.
money even into something,
Uh,
it takes a lot of courage
Absolutely.
to say, you know what,
Yeah.
I'm not going to take that with me for 2025. It doesn't align with my values. It doesn't feel fulfilling.
Yeah. It
Mm,
does. You're absolutely right. It takes courage to get that honest with yourself.
mm,
Because I think quite often we will, if we feel we've invested a lot of time and money and effort into something, it's almost like we will flog it like to death. We will keep going. And actually, almost giving yourself permission to be honest and leave behind things that don't serve you anymore or don't feel aligned anymore. Oh, it can be really liberating.
and there's also an element of not wanting to fail comes through from that as
Mm,
well, isn't there? It's
of
like, well, I,
course. Yeah.
if I don't follow this through, if I don't complete it, if I'm not, I failed.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
there's different ways of looking at failure as well. It's like, well, no, that just didn't work for you. It's clearly not working for you. So
Yeah.
let's do something else.
There's this
Let's,
phrase that I really like, and that is about embracing failing forward. And I
mm,
kind of love that concept of failing forward. So allowing something that on the face of it hasn't worked is a failure by definition,
mhm.
but actually allowing that to mean a big lesson or a big, that's going to inform this next decision that I make. So thank goodness that happened so that I now can make a really good choice. I like that concept of failing forward.
Yeah, I love that. It's like
Mm,
failing is a stepping stone to your success. It's just
Yeah.
another stepping stone,
Well,
isn't
which
it?
it is, which it
Yes.
absolutely is, you know. And I think as coaches, so obviously I work with coaches, and I think as coaches, we really are helping our clients avoid the mistakes we've made. So as a business coach, you know, what people are paying for when they work with me is to probably avoid some of the failures I've had, because everything that I've tried that hasn't worked, I've learned from it and I've tweaked what I do, and I now get to share that with the people I coach. So that's, you know, again, it's that failing forward.
And I want to know as well, there's something that we talk about celebration a lot, celebrating our accomplishments. And
Mm,
we know women are not very good at that.
we're not.
We really downplay and we don't realize some of the things that we've accomplished. So, what role does it play celebrating our accomplishments and joyful moments in setting up success for the year ahead?
Mm. You know, I think this is a really important thing, because I am always saying to people, we need to start learning to trust our intuition more. We need to stop craving external validation for each and every decision we make in our business. And we need to start trusting ourselves to make smart decisions, right? So when we celebrate something that's worked well or an achievement that we've had, we are reinforcing that trust in our intuition. And we're reinforcing that we don't need external validation all of the time to make smart decisions and to do good work and to find success on our own terms, however we define it. So for me, this is remembering to celebrate when things have gone well, or when we've just, I don't always want to tie it when things have gone well, actually, because this is about really acknowledging when you've worked for something and put a lot into it. That in itself is something to celebrate, because whether it worked or didn't work, you will have learned something huge in terms of moving forward. So I think really getting in a habit of celebrating the work we do for ourselves, reinforcing that trust in our intuition, and reinforcing that we don't need permission from other people or we don't need validation. That is what celebrating our achievements does for us. And this
It's
is
a
a good time of year to do it.
Yeah, yeah, it's perfect time, that
Yeah.
reflection and going
Yeah.
within and retreating within. And
Mm,
also the more that you do that, the more you celebrate your accomplishments.
mm.
And the more
Yeah,
that you
absolutely.
trust, the more you listen to your intuition, the bigger and louder your intuition will become. And the less you'll
Yeah,
stop second guessing yourself and self-doubting yourself as well, isn't it? It
absolutely.
is a really,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think we're very good at overlooking the importance of really celebrating our accomplishments. And
Mm.
also, I've found that we don't always realize how big an accomplishment it is. And it's nice to hear somebody, not that you're seeking a valid external validation, but it's good to be open to receiving positive feedback and compliments to help you
Yeah,
highlight that and
of
realize
course. Who
actually,
doesn't love
yeah,
that? You
actually,
know,
that was a big accomplishment. Well done,
yeah.
me. I rock. You know.
Exactly. And I think you're right. And there's a difference as well between enjoying positive feedback and compliments and really needing validation
Mm,
before you can move forward with something.
mm.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with enjoying and welcoming and inviting lovely feedback and people celebrating with you. I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love what you said just now, actually, because I think this is a really good point. The more we do this, the more we celebrate our achievements and trust our intuition, the less we second guess ourselves. And it is often that second guessing that leads us to want that external validation. So the less we do that, the more we focus on the achievements, the good things we've done, we squeeze out that need for second guessing. So I think it's a really good
Mm.
point. I like that.
And yeah, and when you stop second guessing and release the self-doubt, I mean, obviously there's many ways to do that, but you much more likely and to move forward
Mm.
much quicker as well, because
Mm.
you trust your decisions, you trust the decisions you're making. You don't have to keep checking with other people, should I do this, should I do that, should I do that?
Absolutely.
And then even when people do give you some advice about, well, actually you should do that, and you're like, well, no, I want to do that.
Yeah.
You disagree with what they're saying. But yes, it's a waste of time. So yeah, really tap into celebrating the accomplishments to build your self-confidence as well.
Yeah,
um
exactly.
and I think also asked about joyful moments. Why is it important to
Mhm.
celebrate and recognize joyful moments?
Mm. Yeah, I think, you know what, business, especially, building a business, working as an entrepreneur, whatever you do, whether you're a coach or whatever else you do, it can be a serious job.
Mm,
It can be a lot of serious work. And I think actually making time to celebrate those joyful moments, finding the joyful moments. We were talking a little bit just before we started recording, weren't we, about,
mm,
women coming together in community and coming together as a group. And I think that for me has been a source of joy this year, has been, you know, being in community with and having real meaningful connections with people. Those are joyful moments for me. And I think what those do is it's almost like finding the joyful moments and celebrating them and taking time to notice those things. I feel like that's the antidote to burnout. If you are regularly seeking and recognizing and taking a moment to pause and enjoy the joyful moments in what you do, you're doing the best thing you can do to fight off any sort of burnout, because you're not leaving enough room for it to creep in and take over. So I think that's one of my probably top tips for avoiding burnout is find the joy in what you do every single day and take the time to notice it.
yeah, 100%, because that will
Mm.
uplift you, it will energize you,
Hmm.
it brings you
Yeah,
joy. And
it does.
joy
And
is a
joy does
very
energize.
yeah, joy is a very high vibrational feeling.
Yeah,
Burnout, overwhelm, and is very low. So if you're
that's right.
focusing on joy, you're absolutely right. There's no room for burnout
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
there's no match. You're beyond it.
Yeah.
I love that. Love that top tip. Um,
Mm.
so how do you go about setting? And this is something that we're working on at the moment. I'm working on this with Gill, and we'll talk about that a bit more in the business.
We are.
Yes, the program that she's running, and something that a lot of women struggle with,
Mm.
and not just women, but this is women centered. Um, Setting realistic, achievable goals while staying inspired and avoiding burnout. So, how do you do that? How do you set realistic goals that are achievable but still get you to the success that you desire?
Yeah, what a good question. Well, first we outlaw the R word, realistic. Strike. The only reason I say that is because um realistic is a word that we use, but it's a closed box, isn't it? It's inside our own paradigm. So what you think is realistic might not be the same as what I think is realistic, and which of us is right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's quite helpful to uh, yeah, leave realistic in 2024. In 2025, we're thinking about, okay, what is it I really want from my life, from my business? How unapologetically honest am I willing to be about that? And how vividly clear am I willing to get about what I want, so that I have something to work back from when it comes to setting goals. And now, because people often say, well, I could easily put down, I want a 26-bedroom mansion with an indoor pool, and that's one of my goals for next year. And you know what I always say is that, yeah, you are limitless. You can absolutely claim any vision you want for yourself. However, whatever you set your heart on, and I use heart deliberately because your heart needs to be set on it before we take the aligned action to actually make it happen. Whatever it is that you set your heart on, you have to be willing to also accept every single consequence of that vision. So this is where people suddenly think, yeah, actually, if I define success for myself, maybe I don't want to be spending 18 hours a day at my desk to do the work that I would need to do to bring that particular vision to life. So I think that's our starting point when it comes to setting goals that are going to bring our vision to life, is getting clear on the vision, almost warts and all, the vision that
Mhm.
is the real version of what you want. So including every consequence of wanting it. And then we work back from that. I like to look at the year. I feel like any goal setting that goes more than a year is almost like fairy tale land, just because I have no idea what I'm going to want by the end of next year. So for me, a 5-year plan is just like, I I'm not that interested in that. So I tend to look at the year. So what do I want to have, be, or do by the end of 2025? So that's the vision piece. That's like, this is what I want. This is what I'm claiming for myself. And I accept all of the implications of it. And then I look at the year in terms of quarters. So I always look at splitting the year in quarters. I do it by seasons, but people, do it however they like. Sometimes some people do it, first quarter, second quarter in the financial year, whatever works. And I always say, you know what, just pick one big project per quarter, because I think it's harder to focus on setting goals if you're trying to work on a ton of different big, significant, chunky projects at once. So if you can break up your year and think, well, these are the 4 main projects that I want to achieve this year, or I want to work on this year. That way, if you've got one project per quarter, you can look at the 3 months of that quarter. What are the goals that I'll need to set for that quarter to achieve that project before I can start thinking about anything else? And is there overlap, and do they mush together a bit? Of course. But I think it's a really useful way. I think it was you that was saying, wasn't it, that sometimes it's easy to set the high level goals, the big goals, and it's easy to work on the daily things that you need to get done, mainly to, the business as usual stuff. But it
Mhm.
is like, what are the milestones in between those things? So I think that's kind of a handy way to
Mm.
look at it, is splitting the year up a bit.
That's really helpful, really beneficial. And it's interesting what you say about only looking at the next year. Do you think it's good though to have an eye on the future in terms of, okay, this is what I want this year, but this is where I want at the moment, where I want the business to go, or where I want my life to go,
Absolutely.
and sort of within the next
Oh
5 years,
yeah,
or yeah, okay.
definitely. I tend to have a vision that goes beyond the year, but the
Hmm.
goals I set are for the year.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And do you
Yeah.
find that those goals change sometimes?
Yes, definitely.
Mm.
And this is why I think it's funny, because we're all kind of focused on goal setting at this time of year, because it's that time of year. Everyone loves the blank sheet of paper that the 1st of January gives us. And so goal setting and vision boarding and all of those things are really popular at this time of year. But you know what? The goals we set at the beginning of the year, it's just like the first chapter of the year. things are going to change. We should be tracking and revisiting our goals at least every quarter, and checking that what was important to us at the beginning of the year is still important to us now as we move through the year, or have things shifted, have other priorities shown themselves, have other opportunities shown themselves that can change the things we want to focus on. Yeah.
I think it's important to note, yes, we're talking about goal setting and visioning this time of year. This time of year is also a time of hibernation. So there's a lot of sort of dream weaving that can happen this time of year. And
Yeah.
also, we talked about this before we started to record, is you can set a new vision any time of year.
Absolutely
It
right.
doesn't have to be at the end of the year. It could
Absolutely.
be tomorrow, it could be any time of year, whenever you feel
Yeah.
that you're ready and like, right, I want a new vision. I want to step into that vision. What does that look like over the next 12 months? It doesn't have to be.
Absolutely right. It never has to be at a particular time of
Yeah,
year. And it's never signed in blood or set in stone, whatever the expression is.
yeah, yeah,
um, our dreams and our visions and our goals, they do all evolve. And we need to start letting ourselves be okay with that and stop kind of almost allowing that to feel like a failure. If, oh, I said I was going to do this and I haven't, I've prioritized something else. Well, okay, that's okay. You know, I think we need to be mindful of the reasons. Am I in avoidance, or
yeah.
am I scared, or so it's important to know the why behind not doing something, or choosing to prioritize something else. But it's always okay to give ourselves permission to change our minds about anything.
Yes. Yeah, I think, and that's a really good, valid point. And especially being aware of why you're doing it, why you
Yeah.
are changing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as an entrepreneur, Jill,
Yes.
how do you stay inspired or motivated? I think inspired is a stronger
Mm.
word. It's got more power
Mm.
behind it. But I think there is an element of motivation there to get things done, and moving forward in your business, especially through challenging times. When you
Yeah.
feel that you could be procrastinating, or you
Mm.
sort of stepping up into something, up leveling and elevating your business.
Such a good question. It's such a good question, because do you know what? Sometimes I ask myself that, because for me, I I just seem to have this level of ambition, motivation, inspiration, and it never drops. It kind of like, I guess it always feels there for me. And I do sometimes think, as entrepreneurs, maybe that is partly in our DNA, is that we do, how do I put it? It's not like I need anything outside of me to motivate me. And I don't know where that comes from. I see that in you as well, Jen, as like the way you serve your clients, and the vision you have for your business, and the work you do. I see it in you too. There is something about entrepreneurs who that just is innate. That ambition and motivation is innate inside us, and it just doesn't go away.
What comes to me as you were saying that, you're right, it's deep within us. And you use
Mm,
the word heart earlier.
mm,
And I
mm.
think it's what keeps an entrepreneur motivated or inspired and uplifted and energized is to continue tapping into what brings them most joy. And for a lot of
Yes.
entrepreneurs, because it's a challenging journey, and
Oh
it
yeah, a
it
job is much easier.
yeah, yeah.
I
It,
always say that to people. It's like, yeah, literally, if you want an easy life, get a job.
yeah.
Don't be an entrepreneur.
But I think it's because we have such a drive within us to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. To
Whatever.
make a difference to our own lives
Yeah,
as well as other people's lives.
yeah,
Um, I think you're absolutely right. And I think that drive is just so powerful in some people. And I think when it is, entrepreneurship is probably the only thing that will ever have them feel really fulfilled. I really believe that.
yeah, yeah, I do. I feel it.
Mm,
Yeah,
I do.
it's tap, and it's all about the vision as well as creating that vision, and the vision that has such deep meaning to you, whether that's on a
Yep.
personal level or a level where you're serving other people or you're having an impact on the planet, big or small. It
Yeah.
is innate within us, absolutely, because this is not an easy journey.
It
So
isn't. But it's so funny because as we're talking about that, I'm just sort of thinking to myself as well, some things make me feel tired. So, you know, like a weekend of socializing, I'll feel quite tired. Work rarely makes me feel tired. And I don't know if I think it might be part of that entrepreneurial DNA as well of when you find something that you love, it it never depletes you. It just energizes you.
yes, and that's exactly it. Finding what you love, coming
Hmm.
from that heart
Absolutely.
centered, deep meaning of joy, really connecting into your heart and soul. And yeah,
Mm,
yeah, 100%.
mm,
So I mentioned before that you have recently, well, I mentioned your program before that you've recently launched the coaching.
mm,
Well, it's not a program; it's a community, the Coaching Business Academy, and I am
mm.
part of that. And I'm
Yes, you are.
absolutely over the moon about it because it's incredible what Gill is sharing, her expertise, her knowledge, what's truly worked for her as a as a business coach for other businesses. So can you tell us a little bit more about it? What are the benefits of joining and what results participants can expect? And I know that's a tricky
Yeah, I'd
question, the
love
expectation.
to.
Mm.
I'd love to. So I don't claim that I know everything there is to know about building a business. I'm a business coach. I'm not an oracle. But what I found is that over the years, the clients that I've worked with, and I mostly work with coaches, that just feels good to me. I love working with coaches. I obviously have so much empathy with coaches because I'm a coach. So it's a sweet spot for me. It's not the only women I've worked with. They're not all coaches, but a lot have been. And over the years, I've noticed that I get asked all the time, Jill, just can you just tell me what you've done to have the business that you have? And my business has been built on one-to-one coaching. Um, it's been a very, very simple business model, of having powerful conversations with incredible women and not really embracing social media that much. I've certainly never paid to advertise. So it's been a business that's been built on referrals. And a lot of clients have said to me, I just want to know, I want you to teach me what you've done. And eventually that is what was the premise for the Coaching Business Academy was, over 12 weeks, I'm just going to share everything I've done to build the business that I have because that's what I know works. So this isn't me kind of just spouting theory and teaching in that way. This is actually much more mentorship. These are the steps I've taken to get to where I am now. I can show you how you can do that too. So that's the first thing really that I think that's important to know. Um, so it's a 12-week program. We cover everything from setting a vision for your coaching business, to refining your niche, to getting very clear about who your ideal clients are, to creating signature coaching offers that are actually what those ideal clients want and need, to establishing yourself as a thought leader and really becoming a recognized authority in your niche. We talk all about marketing. We talk about the lighthouse part of marketing, so the content marketing, and we talk about the searchlight part, relationship marketing. And then finally, we talk about the art of enrolling clients. So how coaches should never be selling coaching. And that's really the curriculum, if you like, through the academy. But I think it's a lot more than you get. Yes, you get the videos and the workbooks, etc. But for me, the gold in this program is the calls that we have each week together. And this is what we were talking about earlier, weren't we? It's just there's something so special about a group of women coming together, women who are already like-minded because they've raised their hand for this experience. So they that already tells me that these are women who are passionate about coaching, not about building any old business that's going to make them some money. These are women because coaching isn't the simplest way to make money. Coaching's like a vocation. It's like something you have to really want to build a thriving coaching practice. Otherwise just go and like get into Bitcoin or something, because that's going to give you much more guaranteed results, apparently, lately.
Guaranteed.
Apparently, I don't
Apparently.
know. Maybe not.
That's what we hear.
I literally know nothing about it, so
But you know plenty about creating a successful business.
that I know about. I know
Yes.
about creating a successful coaching practice. That I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and that's what's powerful, I think, these calls together where these women are they're women like me, like you.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're in the program. I mean, these are amazing women who are serious about growing a thriving coaching practice. And it's just special. It's really special bringing those kind of connections together.
It's exponential.
Exponential, baby. Oh,
and
that was a very seductive voice. I don't know where that came from.
and it's
I'll use
fun.
that one more often. And it's fun.
Yes, it is so much
Of
fun.
course.
Yes, and there is power to that in being with a group of like-minded women. From me being on the program, there's a massive power to being with other like-minded women that are striving for the same thing, different
Yeah.
but the same. We're
Yeah.
all coming from that place, that heart-centered, I want to do something, I want to do something for me in
Yes.
my business, in my life, my lifestyle, my finances, and I want to do something for other people and
Yes.
make that
Yes.
difference. And
You're
that is
right.
powerful.
This is something that I think every single woman in the academy has in common. She is making a stand for the and. This is about, I want to make a lot of impact. I want to change lives. I want to really fulfill my purpose. And I want to make money. I want to make money for myself. I want the lifestyle that I want for myself. And I think, we are a group of unapologetic women about that. We want both.
And we can have both. Any of
Absolutely
us
right.
can have both.
Yes, we can.
Going
Yeah.
stepping back into that possibility. So how can people find out more about that program? What do they do? What do they do, Gill?
What do they do? So they could go to gillmoakes.com
Gill
forward
Moakes,
slash academy.
and that link will be in the show notes.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Yeah. So it's gillmoakes.com/academy is the where they can find out more about the program. So we have 2 full cohorts at the moment, but we will be starting another one in January, on the 8th of January. So that will be fun, something to look forward to. I think it's a great time of year. We were talking about that beautiful blank sheet of paper. So I think if anyone's listening and they're thinking, oh, yeah, that new sheet of paper,
Mhm.
it's a good
And
time to do it.
I'll give you a little secret. The first thing that we do is work on your first thing that Gill does is work on your vision and help
Yeah,
you explore
absolutely.
and discover what that vision is, what that looks like for you. And I also want to say that this is a very intimate, it's an intimate coaching group. It's not hundreds of people on the call.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So we have a maximum. So I think in our December cohort we got 10. The maximum I would ever do is 12. So
Mhm.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you really do get that one-on-one connect
exactly. I
coaching
think
from
that's
Gill.
really important to me, actually. That's
Yeah,
really important.
yeah,
Yeah. I've been
yeah,
in very big group experiences before, and
yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
think that's quite the same. That's not my thing.
It's not it. You don't get in. Even I've been in one that was a really good program. It absolutely was, and there was lots of other coaches as well. There
Mm.
was one main coach, and she would do a call every week. But then we
Mhm.
had our own coach. But even that coach had 40 to 50 people on the
Oh my
call.
goodness.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I mean, there was
How long were the
thousands.
calls? That blows my mind because, like,
90 minutes.
yeah, so same as our calls, and
Yeah,
there's only
yeah,
12
yeah.
of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And you were only you could ask one question um throughout the program. You could ask more, but not many more.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and you got feedback on the work that you did, but that feedback was always in writing. It just lacked the connection that
Mm,
you get from an intimate program.
mm,
And
yeah.
it lacked
Yeah.
the let's get really deep and dive in to what's
Yeah.
specific for you.
I
Um,
think that you've
mhm,
not the nail on the head there. It's if you've got a huge group, it's too generic.
mhm.
I think people need to be able to get advice and input into how to make this relevant for their business,
Yeah,
their coaching practice.
yeah.
Because we've got all different coaches. No two people in the academy have the exact same business model,
Mhm.
even though they're all coaches. They all have very different niches, and different
Mm.
frameworks that they work with. So,
And there absolutely is a place for programs where there's a lot of people.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
but when you need interaction and you want connection and you want help, where you can get one-to-one coaching in a call, that's important to be in a much
yeah,
smaller, more intimate group.
exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yes,
Mm.
it's I highly I can't recommend it enough. I highly recommend it if
Thank
you
you,
are looking
Jen. That's
at
very
looking
sweet.
yeah, if you've been a coach for a while or you're new to coaching and you want to take your coaching business to another level and you want to get crystal clear on what your vision is, your goals, your niche, who your ideal client is, and then how to communicate and connect with those clients and enroll them.
Yeah.
This is so
I
for
mean,
you.
to sum up, I suppose, like, really, if we're really going to get down to the bare bones of what this program does, it's how to get clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a
If you
way,
don't have a way to get clients, then you can be the best coach in the world, but it'll be wasted. You need to know how to
yes.
get coaching clients.
And it's a way to get coaching clients without the Facebook ads, without the Google ads. It's if you it's very the energy of this is very feminine.
Mm,
There's none of
yeah.
that bro marketing. There's none of
No,
that pushing.
absolutely not.
There's none of the risk of wasting huge amounts of money on Facebook ads that people, it's really heartfelt connections with people.
Yeah, I think that's true, and that's really important as well. And it's not that there's anything wrong with
No,
ads
no.
and paid ads and all of those things. And if you love social media, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But like I said before, this is how I built my business, and I don't want to be on social media all the time. I'm
Mm-hmm,
too busy coaching. I don't want to be.
mm,
I
mm-hmm,
don't want to be a marketer. I want to be a
mm-hmm,
coach.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah. So if you have any questions as well, please feel free to reach out to Gill.
Absolutely, yeah. And people can book a call with me if they want to as well. So if they go to that page that we mentioned, if they've have a look through that, and if they've got any other questions, they can book a call.
Yeah, brilliant. And we will put Gill's links in the show notes so that you can reach out to her. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Jen.
Gill. It was an absolute pleasure
Thank you for having me.
and
It's
so
always a
much,
pleasure to be with
yeah,
you.
and fun. And wishing you all, our listeners, well, wishing you, Gill, a very, very wonderful
Thank you.
Christmas or
Thank
whatever
you.
holiday you celebrate. And wishing the very, very best for 2025 for all of us. The energy of this year is phenomenal. It's going to, I just feel the movement of 2025.
Absolutely. Yep, it's going to be a good one.
It is. So thank you very much. Till next time. Bye bye.